But the thing about Prince is that I'm sure you guys have seen that Prince has deleted all of his videos off of YouTube. He'll sue anybody doing his music. I heard that he actually had a contract to, they came to him when Guitar Hero was popular a couple of years ago, is that, hey, look, we want to do a Guitar Hero off of your music. No, because, you know, I'm not getting any type of proceeds off of that. And I think that what's going to change the music industry is when you get old musicians who have been around, like, I would say like Prince, like an old musician, the younger generations aren't going to be like that. They're not going to be as selfish with their music. They want to share it with other people. But you got the ones who are all about the almighty dollar, you know, the ones who stand with Warner Brothers and all the other ones, you know, hey, look, I want, you know, to capitalize off of this. But the thing about it, going back to Prince, you know, right now, Prince at best, I'm like I said on Prince's website, and you know, he has this thing called a Third Eye Girl, and all this music now he's doing, like, she's always in my hair, irresistible bitch. Now he's doing it all rock. And I said something on Prince's site. I said, dude, this kind of reminds me of Thanksgiving dinner that's been reheated like a couple of weeks old. And like, what do you mean by that? I said, because basically he's not doing anything new. He's just adding more stuff to it to make it taste better. I said, but it's still the same thing. I said that what Prince did is that he made himself an island. Is that he didn't work with other people. He didn't open his frame of mind and work with, you know. But the thing is, like I said, it goes back to it. You know, want to keep the group small. I want to write all my music. That way I don't have to share my money with you. The record companies are like that. But the thing is that the record companies are losing power because we can easily download music. It's not longer, we got to wait for the bootlegs to come out or anything like that back in the day. Hey, you know, this just came out. I just go on like one of my websites and, you know, download it. I just look at music as kind of like, and I know we're all adults. I look at music as kind of like marijuana. It doesn't take much to grow it. All you just have a couple of seeds, just throw it in the yard, and it'll grow, it'll sprout up. That's what music. You don't have to put everything and concentrate it and make it this and that. Music is free. Why are we putting such a price tag on it? I think that's the demise of the music industry. Is that's what's going to, you know, totally sink it. Is that it's so much greed. And I think the next generation, they want it to be free. They want it to be for everybody. You know. I guess I call us like the new world hippies or whatever like that. You know. But I don't care, dude. I'll wear that label. You know. So.
I mean, a couple of aspects. I see it like, you know, the future, every time has a transition, you know what I'm saying? We had the 8-track, well, I didn't have 8 tracks. Before me, you had the 8 tracks, you know what I'm saying? And then it moved on to records, you know what I'm saying? And they had the market attacked with that. Then it went on to tapes. Nothing is new. You had dub tapes and bootlegs back when I was a kid, and y'all was young too. Y'all remember that. So none of this is new. You know, it's just a different format now. Now you have MP3 downloads or whatever. So the music is free. And it's always been free. Now if people have something, a way to market or whatever, and they trying to make money, I mean, the monster is still there, you know what I'm saying? Some people, I mean, I don't knock it all the way because that's some people's livelihood. So if you have album, you know, you're trying to push it, I'll support you. I'll put some money in your pocket. But to me, the biggest thing, like doing these shows and stuff, is the live shows. I started out as a hip-hop artist. I was doing hip-hop at 12, so I love the music. And my mama has always had me exposed to so many different, she used to listen to all types of rock and roll music and stuff. And she's straight from the West Side, you know what I'm saying? But she'll listen to R&B, everything. She has an eclectic library. And I think two things, I mean, one thing that resonates in hip-hop and the rock industry is the energy. And I think that, you know, the live shows is just that rage that you get out sometimes, or that energy or emotion that you get out on stage that's intense. You know what I'm saying? And you also have the factor of we're going against the system, the corporate system, or whatever injustices that is. Most voices come from the rock industry or the hip-hop industry. Most jazz musicians are not talking about revolution. You know what I'm saying? And most contemporary artists or pop artists definitely aren't talking about that. You know what I'm saying? So when you got that and that underground grassroots movement, I agree with what everybody was saying, and I think that it's going to be a resurgence of the underground, because we see it now. You know, it's not just about WJLB. You got everybody else with their own radio stations. You know what I'm saying? And they don't have to be pirate radio. You know, back in the day, everybody had their little. We didn't have one in Detroit, but like Flint and other places had their little pirate radio stations. Ann Arbor, you know. So I think that now it's a little better for people to get exposed. So it's a good thing. I watched Kevin Hart's new movie when I was with my girlfriend, and they were asking everybody how did they know about Kevin Hart, and everybody from overseas were talking about YouTube. You know what I'm saying? They had all seen him on YouTube. So the power of the media can be harnessed, and that's dope with what Cuz is doing, because he's using that outlet. Imagery, just like what George Clinton was saying to you. Image is what sticks in people. It sticks in people's heads. Whether it be your dress, your style of music, whatever, that's your expression. You know, I thought I was going to say.
I really feel Ben Frank on this one, like about the live audience being such a kind of energy center. Like, a lot of what he said about the digital age too, and music being free. I think that freedom in music, I don't think people knew how to handle that. Like back in the day, you had the tapes and everything. You had to go to your buddy for that tape. You had to see somebody in person. You changed hands, and like now you can get it all online. People go, oh, just download this, watch this on YouTube, and for a while there, I don't think people realized how unbelievably important, how much of a glue it is, that community is, the live music is, the show, being there like shoulder to shoulder to people in a packed house when they're rocking it and people are dancing. Right. I don't see dancing. You watch like somebody in the 30s, like a jazz club, they are moving. Every single person in that is like, they're on their toes, they're on the ceilings, they're jumping over each other, jumping under each other. And people, for a while they were getting used to watching live, seeing the screen. You don't dance in front of the screen. Right. There's nobody to dance with. It's not the community. And I'm really starting to see that change again. I remember for a little while in like the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a little fad of buying clothes online. You go on your computer like, oh, I want that, I want to wear that. But then you get it and it doesn't fit. It's not the same to buy it online. Right. When you go to the store, you're there and you feel it, and it's just the same with music. Now people are starting to realize that. Like, never in history has it been so easy to abandon the community and not realize that's what's going on. I think people are really starting to wise up to that. Cosmic Slop was a great example. We just went down there and it was great. The crowd was digging everything. The bands were great. There's a sense of community. Especially in Detroit, that has a community they need to rebuild. And tragedy brings people together. So down there, especially, they know how important the community is because it's falling apart. And the same going with music scenes. We're starting to realize how important that community was because it's falling apart. And now I see people going, for a while it was, what do I have to say? What can I do? What can I bring? What's my sound? What's my persona? It only gets you so far. I was doing that for a while. Like, mid to late 2000s, I was doing a solo thing. Like, what can I do? What do I want? What's my sound? What's my persona? I wasn't getting anywhere with that. And then me and him got stuck together, working as roommates on Mackinac Island. There was nothing new on there. So it started, what's he got to say? And then it becomes, what do we have to say? And that's where it's at. That's why it's a band. That's why a rubber band holds things. That's why they call it a band. Because you're banded together. It's not what do I have to say, it's what do we have to say, what's us? And that community, I really feel like it's coming back.
So I'm going to build off of that, because there are a lot of musicians here tonight, and I think that's something that is a really rare privilege, because going back to what David was saying about not everybody, or even Anthony was saying about not everybody knows how to listen to and appreciate the music that we make, whether it's rock and roll for different group that hasn't heard it or whatever else. I guess there are two things that come to mind. One is, do you see yourselves having a responsibility to actually promoting or exploring that unfamiliar music more frequently, and I also performing it, and educating the public about it. And then the second part, this is a little bit different, but I want to build off of what you're talking about as far as between individuals and then playing as a group. My other hat, and actually normally the piece my solo piece that I played, normally I use that as an educational piece. So one of the things that I try to do is look beyond musicians playing with each other, because jazz is kind of liberating, right? Jazz really introduced improvisation among bandmates, right? And it's the same thing with rock and roll and whatever else, or even when you in hip hop when there's freestyling and things like that, right? People can improvise, but it's only for a very privileged few, the musicians, right? The audience is still sitting there, and they're still probably sitting, right? So one of the things that I do outside of when I'm playing solo is I try to find ways to play music that gets the audience to also be an important part of it, so that their presence is what makes the difference for performance, rather than them listening to me on the radio or on YouTube.
Right.
And so I want to encourage you, like I didn't do any of that kind of music today, but there are a couple ways that you can engage an audience. One is through the stories that you can tell behind the music, which all of you have experiences that are so rich that it's worth listening to in addition to the actual pieces that you can perform. But then the other thing is see if there are ways that you can actually play pieces that you can get audience participation in. And it might not necessarily have to be something really complicated, but as far as them clapping or singing or making sound, like atmospheric noise or something, those are things that people can also do. That was more of a statement. But I guess to bring it back into a question is that something that all of you think you'd be willing to do or commit to?
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. I want to say this thing about everybody in this room is that to start off, fame is a drug, because once you have it, it's the best feeling in the world. But when you don't have it, the withdrawals are a bitch. And the thing is that when people want to go, like me as a musician, I don't care about reaching the top. I just like playing music, man. My dream is just going to different cities and just meeting guys like you guys and just sitting here, kicking it and just talking about music or whatever. It's not about being. I was watching when Miley Cyrus was twerking it on MTV, and I was just sitting there just looking at it, and I was just kind of like, dude, is this what music came to? Like everybody sitting next to all these egos and everything else like that? Nah, dude. I want to go out and meet people. I like, like you said, the energy. Somebody said the energy. Even though it could be a packed house or it could be a room just full of 4 people, but just people coming just respecting you, like, hey man, I appreciate what you're playing. Hey man, I like what you're playing too. Just the camaraderie and everything. To me, that's what music should be about. It's not about the big eyes and little U's in music or whatever, And I think that we miss out on that. Like I just mentioned about the gospel situation in Detroit. That Detroit is a big techno mecca, but hey man, you listen to techno and people are like, what the hell is that you listening to or whatever, dude? Guys like that shit's like off a video game or something, and I'm like, but like I say with everything, like I say about everything, everybody's a teacher. You either learn what to do or what not to do. As far as with me and music, I can listen to drip, I can listen to a leaky faucet and just hear the drip, like drip, 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 and then I start adding 16th notes to it and just start thinking it would be like, oh dude, that'd be sweet as hell. And then I go downstairs with my drums, my wife's like, David, what the hell are you doing? It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, that faucet, dude, I just heard of a new beat. And she's like, but that's how it comes to you. But you, like I said, you have to be open. You have to listen, And I think that right now everybody's so closed-minded, that we lose that. But I just want to say is that that's one of the reasons why I appreciate my band Elemental Meaning so much, is that I played in a lot of bands, but how it is that I look at Elemental Meaning as kind of like, if you remember how it was in a band in school, where like before you wrap up your instruments, you have like a little free time and you can kind of play and, we all listen to each other, it's no like, it's a dictatorship or anything else like that. Like, I don't want to hear what you got to, as my wife called me, that's where I'm at. Because, and like I said with you guys, I just appreciate it. Just like, may not be a big crowd, but just having this free talk, that's definitely therapeutic, So let me come away from your Dr. Phil. So.
I think a lot of it comes down to like your audience and your environment. Like, back in the day, the record labels were trying to control the audience because they wanted to sell something, and it's that focus. We're trying to sell this, and we want to control our audience, and sometimes that shuts a lot of people out. And also it's your environment. Like, how did you grow up? when did you first go out to your first show, and where did you choose to go, and who you see or who do you listen to at that show, and that turned you on to something else. You know, I'd love to go check out the gospel scene in Detroit, but I'm not putting myself in that environment, not because I don't want to, it's because I'm doing other shit, or I'm going somewhere else. But I'd love to check that out. And I think the same thing with like the diversity in the rock scene in Detroit. When I first started going out, like, you know, see, every show I went to, there was a different band. It wasn't all 70s rock. It wasn't all punk rock. I saw a punk band, I saw a noise band, I saw a pop band, I saw a psychedelic band. That was the most wonderful night of my life. And it happened like every night in Detroit for a long ass time. But if someone was on the gospel scene, they may or may not have been there and may or may not have even known that was existing. So I think what the advantage is these days that we have the internet and all this access to information, we didn't know about those bands before. Now we have a chance to really see it because it's getting out there. It's easier to get accessible to it.
Yeah, that's a nice thing. Like I said, you know, not nearly as dependent on the labels or the industry per se as to what we hear, you know, what we're exposed to. So, I mean, I think the music industry is heading in a good direction. What I want to do is, did you have a comment?
No.
Okay. I want to wrap it up just because I think there's a couple of guys who want to get on stage pretty soon. But what I want to say about this movie is, you know, like I said, I wanted to make a movie about something I knew, but the concept behind it, the driving force, was the question: how did black people and rock music become separated in the general public's perception? Just investigating that. You know, and I came to find the music industry and, you know, all kinds of other things. I actually have a lot more footage. This is the more exciting stuff, but I have a lot more educational footage that really breaks the industry down about like why certain songs get played and how often they get played, how record labels pay for airplay and stuff like that, which will be in the final product. But what I want to say, my parting thought is, I'm really making this music to hopefully spark self-awareness in the audience, to make people think, like, oh yeah, I always did think that was normal for only black people only listen to rap and white people listen to rock. I always thought that was normal. I never really questioned that. Or, you know, why don't I see more Asian rockers? I never really thought about that. I just kind of accepted it as normal that I will never see an Asian rock. You know, I would love to get Dirty Beaches. I don't know if you know him, but he's tied. Anyway. So yeah, I'm really just making this movie to hopefully spark self-awareness, and I'm glad it sparked such a passionate conversation. Everybody's comments and, you know, feelings really coming out. I just want whoever sees it, whether they see it with me or at a movie theater or on TV, just to think, like, I always accepted that as normal. Like, you know, what else haven't I really been thinking about or just accepting, you know, letting wash over me? So, thank you for watching the movie. Thanks for talking with me. Thank you, cuz, for letting me do this. That's it.